Welcome to Make More Marbles. My name is Brad Hart, and today I have a very special guest, Mr. Justin Breen. He is the founder of the BrEpic Network. He's a big-time supporter of Peter Diamandis, who I am as well. He's part of the Abundance 360 Mastermind, and he is one of the most connected people on the planet. Welcome, Justin, to the show. What's going on, man?
Great intro. I'm going to share my screen here if it lets me. So we're talking about abundance. I've started drawing lately, which I never thought I would do, but I was thinking about people were asking me like how I approach life or Abundance 360, the summit's coming, the big event. So I'm like, oh, I'll draw this. Here's complexity over here and all these tasks or whatever. And then you kind of funnel it down into this, which is the worthy ideal or zone of genius or unique ability, which is a strategic coach term. I'm very grateful to be in strategic coach. And then, so over here, complexity, oh, I'm sad. And then simplicity, oh, really happy. And when you find this, then it creates true abundance. My worthy ideal, zone of genius, unique ability is connecting visionaries to serve humanity. So not humans, not business owners, not consultants. The engineering stuff annoys me. I just like to talk to visionaries and then connect them. And then that creates true abundance in my life. And so I go into anything, and then especially Abundance 360, I just look for the true visionaries and then connect them, and then they create abundance. And to double down, triple down, quadruple down on that, BrEpic Network, I'm very grateful that's our company scaling very quickly by connecting visionaries to serve humanity. That's taking all these people out here where it's too confusing, they're not visionaries, and then funneling it down into only this one type of person, this true visionary, and then that creates true abundance. So that's my entire life, funneling that into.
If you could kind of define some of these terms, all right? So we got, for example, like zone of genius. We'll talk about that. And then I would like you to define that and true visionary, because I feel like of all the terms you talked about, some are pretty clear. And then I would say abundance would be the last one. So if we could define those three terms in your opinion, what are they?
Okay. So a visionary to me, and so just as background, I spend my day doing only two things. One, spending time with my family, or two, connecting visionaries to serve humanity. So not the business owners are over here, the engineering brain overthinking everything, they're over here. That stuff's annoying to me. The true visionary is right in here. So to me, a true visionary has only three attributes in their mindset. One, they're a visionary. They see things before other people. They're not focused on business owner stuff. They're not focused on scaling employees. They don't care about any of that stuff. They care about being a visionary. They see things. Two, they live in full abundance. No scarcity, no excuses ever. No excuse. A visionary would never make an excuse. Three, this is where I see the fake visionaries get trapped. A true visionary only looks at things as investments, not costs. There's never what do you cost or charge. There's never worried about that, because if you look at things as what do you cost or charge, you're your own limiter to your own abundance and your own vision. So a true visionary will never look at cost or charge. They'll look at everything as an investment. So that's a visionary. The worthy ideal, zone of genius, unique ability. Again, unique ability is a strategic coach term. Very grateful for that. But it's whittling all these tasks down into one thing. And that for me is connecting visionaries to serve humanity.
What are some other examples that other people might have, or people that have a unique ability that you could think of?
Develop a blockchain/AI-based educational platform that enables free access to accredited higher education courses and degrees worldwide, impacting over 1 billion people by 2035. By the way, the person who did this is a high IQ. Enable financial institutions and their advisors to provide world-class integrated advice more profitably and effectively, commercially, and service the bottom 80% on a not-for-profit, fully leveraging a proprietary AI model. Okay, that again is a high IQ engineer brain. So mine is connecting visionaries to serve humanity. It's pretty simple. Oh, here's another one. Increase the percentage of people receiving world-class integrated advice from 0.1% to 20% within 10 years. That's a pretty good one. But
it's less about, the buzzwords, right? I think the key distinction.
Buzzwords are for humans and engineer brains.
Right. So like, why does it need blockchain? That's like immediately where my brain goes, like, but why blockchain? But why this? But why that? Like, just get clear on what the hell the outcome is.
Okay.
And figure out what the pieces are.
So good point. So I was looking this up. All I do is talk to people, top thinking and doing people on planet. I never get bored of that because they're visionaries. And then I like to know where words come from. Really fascinated by that. And so some of those longer ones are the buzzwords. Those are like robots. They're like robots, high IQ with no like feeling or understanding. And so I looked up what robot, and it's from the Czech word robota, which means forced labor.
It's a machine that has no free will,
Well,
essentially.
so that's high IQ, no EQ. Those are robots. So, and then there are only two types of genius. Again, my brain turns everything into a pattern. And so this is a true visionary conversation. This is not AI or whatever, but there are only two types of geniuses. One is genius brain. Everyone I talk to has a genius brain. Many of those folks do not have a genius heart, so they are cyborgs, robots, whatever, narcissists. They have no understanding of what humanity actually is, even though they're using buzzwords, like you said, because it's a replacement for them not even knowing what humanity is. Then there's the genius heart. The genius heart, the hippie, small nonprofit, kumbaya, the homeless person singing, but they don't have a genius brain, so they can't mechanize it. They can't do anything with it.
Yeah,
And
they
then
might have the right
here,
intentions, but they don't have the right skill set to make it happen.
correct. Yeah, very good. Pattern recognizer. So the true visionary, BrEpic Network, they're only in here, and then they create the true abundance. They
Yeah.
actually are doing things with their heart first, and then they have the brains to accelerate it. Yeah.
So do you have a couple stories or examples of the way you've been able to?
Engineer Brain has created a platform compiling the world's top experts for anything, and then you pay them for their time. And then she's raising seven figures. So one of our other investors is one of the top female
So
and
what's your
beyond.
call to action for those people so that they can understand that they need to come to Justin versus doing what they're already doing?
What I will say is they have to have both genius brain and genius heart.
About 2/3 of the way through your book, by the way. I'm enjoying it. It's called Epic Life, if anybody wants to check it out.
Thanks. Okay. So thank you. My wife taught me how to say thank you. And then I learned during one of our meetings what thank you actually meant. It means acknowledging someone else's humanity, which was very interesting.
There you go. It's not something a robot would do. So there you go. You passed the
Well,
turn
so
test.
listen to this. So human, the HU in human actually means God. If you look up the origin of it, and it means breath. Yeah, this is what I mean. People say these words and
Etymology. Yeah, we forget what it means. Creating something out of nothing.
yeah, man, you're great at that. Wow, look at that. Look at your brain.
It's like I've done this a few times.
You're super high IQ. So this is David Hawkins. He died in 2003, but he developed a level of consciousness, like a scale. And I see the world in numbers and keywords. It's an easier filter for me because a visionary for me is in a number or a keyword. Okay, this, by the way, over here is Maslow's scale of our hierarchy. I just kind of combined them, which I thought was interesting. But so 1% of the world gets to hear inner love. So like the genius brains without the genius hearts, they're in here. They'll never get to here. They'll never get to there. 0.4% gets to here. My wife and I were just on Necker Island. Very grateful for that. Sir Richard Branson's home. That was fun. He's up here. Just rang the bell at NASDAQ. That was fun. I have no financial background or understanding, but got invited. And then I met Deepak Chopra there briefly. He's up here. Most of the people I talk to are in here, and there's a few that are here and they want to learn how to get to here, and they're really struggling with that because they want to get here, but they're surrounded by like people in finance or engineer brains that are not like that. So they want to join our group to be with people that are here. I'm in this range, which I'm really excited about because I know what's up here. I just have to keep like the great void, I guess, is like continuing to be like this and talk like this, and then there will be a breakthrough. I mean, I know there will be. It just takes time.
That's helpful. So if you were to map Maslow's hierarchy, David Hawkins' work,
let's do
it
that.
kind of starts to look like the map of a human journey, right? So like I think everybody's born, with some strengths and some weaknesses, but we're kind of unformed in a way, and we haven't, existed in the world long enough to know who we are and to interact with it. And as we get older, I think we go through these cycles, right? I think you could also map this to spiral dynamics if you're familiar with that. It's
absolutely. Like I would love to see you do that. Your brain would be beautiful for that.
You have and we all experience all these emotions throughout our life, but we get better at not living in them. And it's a vibrational quality that we have that allows us to go through these different places. Like, so if
the visionary gets better at living in their emotions through their heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, for example, Nikola Tesla, he had a great quote. If you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think about frequency, harmony, and there was a third one now it's escaping me, but we could look up the quote.
Interesting.
Because he understood very quickly, like, hey, if we only pay attention to what we can see, we're limiting ourselves in some way. And the vast knowledge of humanity is dwarfed by the infinite information that's available out there in the cosmos and
It's
other
already
things.
there. The
Yeah, it's
answers
it's
are
all there. You
already
can plug
there.
right
In
into it.
fact, they're in the words. They're already there. If you just look at words, the right words, they're in the origin of the word.
Yeah.
Um,
So if we look at this as a human journey that everybody can be on, I think the first thing is gaining clarity about where you're at, all right, on the
yes.
schedule, and then
Hey, whoa, wait,
understanding.
wait. Where is it? Where's awareness? That's actually not the first step, but like if you can get to that, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, and or just understanding like we're all having moments of pride, anger, desire, fear, whatever, right?
Absolutely.
If
There
you
you
can
go.
understand, hey, I'm here and I want to get to whatever, it's not always a direct jump, right? Sometimes you have to go through,
No, you
uh,
100% of the time you have to.
yeah. So like for
Most people
example,
can't do it
anger.
because they don't correct. So most people never get to hear. That's the point.
Yeah. So like if you're in apathy and you want to get to courageousness, maybe anger is the path or desire is the path.
Correct. Well, it is the path. That's literally it's what
Yeah.
it
So
is.
so again, for the folks out there listening who haven't
Oh, like,
studied this
what are you
material
talking
before,
about?
trying to make this valuable for everybody.
Yeah, good point. Good.
But if these people are out there and they're thinking, hey, I'm stuck in whatever, and I want to get to obviously some higher level that feels better because all these levels, as you get a little bit higher, they feel a little bit better. Could
Yes,
be an
they also
opportunity.
feel more overwhelming
Sure,
at
yeah, because
first. Yeah.
you don't have the capacity uh, as a single vessel to hold them. You have to expand your capacity to hold them. And
Yes.
eventually maybe transition this vessel that we call humanity to begin to do that, right?
Okay.
So
So if you like these conversations, then BrEpic Network is for you. If you don't like them, then it is not for you.
so I don't agree wholeheartedly with the idea that nobody can become a visionary if they're not already one. I don't agree with the notion that you're either a visionary or not. I feel like there's definitely people who have that strength and it's more natural to them, but I believe it can be developed. And the reason I believe that is because I don't think I started out as one. And this is just an N of one observation. It's completely unscientific. It's
Yeah.
my,
It's
perspective.
into intuition.
I can remember being a kid and having a lot of big ideas about what the future is going to look like, but they were all pretty mundane and relative to the world that I knew. Like if I knew my own property and general environs, my vision was to build an underground fortress on my property on the other side of the driveway. Like that was my vision at that time. So maybe I was a visionary in that sense, but I wasn't a visionary in the sense of like,
Most
let's think
children
about
aren't thinking like,
yeah, I was maybe not mining asteroids in my brain. I actually still have those drawings somewhere. I could see if my mom can
of
dig them
course
up.
you
But
do,
like
because you're a
I,
visionary.
I literally had the rock room and the this room and that room and all these places that would exist underneath this tree on the other side of the driveway. So it's partially that and it's partially the desire for more, right? It's like there's more than what we see, and I'm not excited by what is. And I don't know that that would be the case at any stage in human history. If I lived in the Middle Ages or the Dark Ages or the Babylonian times or whatever was before the Younger Dryas impact, I think I would have always had an eye towards the future. But that's just because I've always wanted to grow and change and to wonder what could be because
Right, because you were born a visionary.
the environment that I grew up in was rather painful. And I think
Right.
when
There
you
are
grow
four
up in an
things that
environment,
separate visionaries from humans. Four. One, bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy. Two, depression. Three, anxiety at the highest level. Four, trauma as a child or young adult. Humans, business owners, consultants, those are excuses. Visionary, figure it out.
so then my wife, who's very well adjusted and has a great family and didn't have a lot
People
of
like
problems
us
growing up.
usually marry stabilizing humans.
Yeah, she's more of an integrator, less of a visionary. So sometimes she'll want to borrow my visionary brains. And
Yes.
I get frustrated because I'll be like, you should do this. And I can see it so clearly. And then a year or 2 or 3 years later, she'll be like, oh, I should do this. And I'm like, maybe I told
Correct.
you that 3 years ago.
Yes, that's what I say to my wife all the time. By the way, my wife is
And I
she
love her
is
like crazy. It's just frustrating.
well, right. So we're talking the same thing to ourselves, but also to each other, which is interesting. But the both Asperger's probably. But the so my wife is COO of the company, and we were having a 5-year vision discussion via text with I guess my business partner who's in California. We're in Chicago, and my wife's vision and partner's vision for 5 years are far bigger with more strategy than mine. Like all I want to do is connect visionaries to serve humanity. They've taken that and then that platform and they've way bigger vision than I have. Because one, it's not really what I think about, but two, it's very exciting to see her evolution. Like it's amazing, because she's a pediatrician who's phasing out of that as she's the COO of the company. And then because her follow through is off the charts and she has high IQ and extremely high EQ, she'll take it, and my partner will take the company to points I never thought or even think about. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful because it's 100% trust.
Right.
So to
Well,
your point, yes, her visionary aspect has been developed, but she was absolutely born with the IQ and EQ to be able to do that.
yeah.
Most people
100%.
are not. I fundamentally disagree with
Well,
most
and then
people.
there's the mutants, right? There's the people that see the future and they can actually create it, right? Because there's a lot of people that can see a vision, that can have a great idea, but they don't have the
Shut
capacity or
this
the
off.
discipline to actually make it happen, right? So
They
I
make
really,
excuses. Yeah,
yeah,
excuse.
I get really I guess imposter syndrome when I'm around those types of people. Like so if I go and hang out with Richard Branson, I might feel like, oh wow, well, what's the difference between me and Richard Branson? Well, his skill set is he basically runs the same playbook over and over again, right? He has his brand, which is Virgin, which is all about customer service. He finds industries where customer service sucks. He goes in there, he hires the second best competitor's first guy or the second in command or whoever it is, and they
Mhm.
they go and build a Virgin version of it, and they tend to be very successful. But he hasn't been successful at every company. He's had like 400 companies, and
Okay.
a good number of them have been successful. He just has found this playbook that works for him over and over and over again.
Right.
It's been very successful for him. So I
Great.
wonder, like, what's that for me, where I can create a lot of impact in using my strengths as a
Right.
connector,
Okay.
as a
Hold on.
visionary.
Let's do it again. So you're here. What do I do? I'm here. That's all I do. That's it.
I got to find that strategy for me.
So my favorite quote, not who's not from my dad. My dad is my favorite quote, but the cream rice is to the top. But other favorite quote is from Earl Nightingale: "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal." My worthy ideal is connecting visionaries to serve humanity. I'm just getting better at that every day. So my Intuit. Do you know who Doug Brackman is? He wrote Driven. So he's become a good friend of mine. I was on his show. He's a genius. I'm going to engineer this through my heart. If it's something that annoys my heart, then I know it's not in, and that immediately annoyed my heart immediately. So
So
that
it's
is,
more of a gut sensation of like, this just
I'm
isn't.
all intuition and action.
I'm not even upset about that. I'm just trying to understand the process, right? Of like, okay, I decide what's in my realm or not. So
Okay.
that's really reasonable. So like your
Yeah.
gut, your heart, your neurons, your brain, all that's connected, right? And like you get 10,000 data points and immediately can disregard. And then I
Immediately.
felt immediate shame because I'm like, well, I didn't present this idea well enough. Therefore, he dismissed it out of hand as
Oh,
something that's not within
no,
his
that was
purview.
not, no,
Right.
no.
And then
So,
I thought through it and I went and had a nice sleep on it. And it was the end of a long day. Who gives a shit? But when I came back to the idea, I was like, well, how could I have presented it differently that it might have gotten a deeper consideration? And I don't even care if you ultimately end up discarding it, but when somebody discards something immediately, I take it as I fucked up, right? Because I thought about that all day. I had it in my
yeah,
calendar
I
to
don't
text
think
it to
like
you,
that.
and
Thank
I'm like, I'm very clearly, specifically trying to make a valuable addition to your life. And then when it was
thank
like,
you.
nope, not doing that, fuck off. That's what I
Oh,
felt.
that's not, okay. Thank you. That
But
was
that's
not,
how it felt to me, right? I'm not saying it was true or whatever. It just that's immediately where my brain went because I grew up around, people who I needed to be on their side or I'd get my ass kicked a lot. So that's where
okay. Well, that is not,
that's my own bullshit.
well,
And
exactly.
I'm
That's your own
perfectly,
bull.
yeah,
Good.
I'm perfectly willing to accept that. So in order to get to understand you and people like you better, so because that's one of my zones of genius, if you will, is just relating to people. I think that's my top
Well, what is your number
strength
one? What's your number one?
is relator on StrengthsFinder.
No, 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 no. Where's you're trying to find this? That's what I like. If you can
Yeah,
find this,
I have
then
a lot of them that could be, but I don't know which one in
nope,
particular.
nope, nope. Sad face. No, I don't want to hear that. Nope.
Yeah.
Don't be
Uh,
if you're your own limiter, I can't help you. Stop being your own limiter.
well,
So
I'm very good at that. I'm very good at connecting with people because I'm very good at relating to people. But if I had to like look at all my world-class qualities and pick one, that's harder. But I know that that's one of them for sure. Meeting you is a catalyst for thinking about that more often. And eventually, when you think about something long enough, you'll find the answer. So
success is the progressive realization of, well, for a visionary, they'll find the answer or
yeah,
have someone find it for them.
100%. And you have admitted you're somebody who typically takes ideas. The best ideas come from other people. And if it ever comes back around,
It's not
I just put it
gone,
in the public record. If it ever comes back
gone,
around, it's like Justin's doing double opt-in intros. Well, fucking A.
gone.
Has that ever blown up in your face? That's my other question.
So I was talking to my wife about this, and we had a really good talk. So if you think the opposite personality is me, well, us kind of, but definitely me, it would be my wife. She's Harmony One in Strength Finders, and she's constantly, in a good way, course correcting me because it's good. I'm grateful for that. She taught me how to say thank you, which is really nice. I'm glad she did that. So, but what I was talking to her about was every time I've made a true gut decision, it works out because my intuition, I've stopped over questioning my heart and brain. There's something in there that I just know it. I've done a deep dive. One of our members, I think I just mentioned, her name's Deborah Jackson. She's again like top female, like collector of female investors, purpose driven. And 2% of VC money is women, 2%, less than 2%. So I was looking up an article. So here's a journey through time, comprehensive history of venture capital. By the way, the first venture capitalist, Queen Isabel of Spain,
Yeah,
Columbus.
that's a good example. I like that.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that was the best one. So then you got, hold on, this was hilarious. So then this was the birth of modern VC. Started, I don't know these people, but it's man, 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 man. And you got general, Harvard Business, MIT. So you've got high IQ, Federal Reserve Bank, high IQ, numbers, numbers. I'm guessing most of these folks had very low EQ, if any. I wouldn't be surprised. Then you see the evolution. Look at this guy being trumpeted, cashing in big, the men who make the killings. Killing! Yay! By the way, and then in the same article, 1984 Time, Redskins. That's the last time I'll ever say a racist.
Football name, yeah.
Hey, racism! And then, hey, woo, look at this, white men. I'm a white man, mostly white anyway. And then you got the I don't know what YC is, but
Y
YC.
Combinator. Yep.
Thank you for your engineer brain. Then you got surrounded by
Finally,
one
a woman.
one. So I mean the answers are there. The answers are there in the words and the articles, and then they'll go back like 1984 was 40 years ago. So like 100 years from now, they'll be looking at these people that are they're championed. The financial engineer, high IQ, no EQ brain. They're champion. These are the worst. These are the pure evil. These are the men who made the killings. These are evil at the highest level, and it's trumpeted. So that's the battle that a true visionary faces. So they face that in financial industry.
Okay, let me ask the opposite question of that, right? So, which is, do they think they're evil, and do they have malicious intent?
No,
okay, so that's A.
no.
And then does what they do, even though
I don't know
evil,
that. I'm not in their brain, but
sure,
I'm guessing most of them don't think they're evil.
They're everybody's the hero on their own vision or whatever. In their
well,
own
that's what a narcissist thinks, but yes.
Right. But then what about the people who are benefited by that, right? By the venture capital that helps society to grow and innovate and all that great shit. So like,
good point.
Yeah,
some
like,
of them are, some of them do benefit.
Completely a parasitic thing.
Well, that's a great. These are things I don't normally think about, but you've asked me the question. But okay, let me answer it like this. So I think about the people with the genius brain and genius hearts combined and connecting them because they can help. They're the ones that can and will do whatever it takes, not only to solve those problems now, but generations from now.
And let's say they're the most likely to solve the problems because they have both the raw firepower and the desire to.
They can mechanize their heart with their IQ.
Okay, cool. And then,
okay, but I don't know, like, now what I will say is, and maybe this does, I talk to a lot of narcissists, a lot of them, and I guess to simplify that, even though maybe it's unfair, they're super high IQ with lower EQ. So they're like robots, really smart robots.
Yeah, and 1 to 3% of the population is either sociopathic or psychopathic, right? They're like there's a certain number of people that just have different wiring that's fucked up, right? Good. And those people are really valuable if your job is to protect and murder people for protection.
Correct.
Of whatever. Right. But then during peacetime, it's like, look the fuck out because those people are still running around, you know?
They're running around right now. So they're all over the place. Yeah. I will say, I don't think there ever is a peacetime. I mean, I don't think there ever has been.
I guess, yeah, in a global sense, yeah. But I was
And then
thinking
global
more, in a
linear. Yeah,
specific conflict, or
I
a specific
understand.
country. Okay, I have a question that I'm going to circle back to because I think it's interesting. If you had to break it down based on your own experience, what percentage of the population of visionaries are women versus men?
Tremendous. Okay. So the reason when I was talking to Deborah earlier today, I said if she can solve that problem, more women with VC and at leadership roles, I think that's the number one problem. Because women have money, they just don't have a place to. Um, the men who did the killings, the man who does the killings, that's still trumpeted. Within I'll answer it from an actual answer and then where I see it's going. 30% of BrEpic Network members are women. My goal when I first started this, my number one goal, really the only thing I ever told Sarah, who's my wife, and COO, and Mark, my partner, I said as many women as possible. I don't even know why I was saying it, but I guess now I do. So the goal for it is to be 50+%. Within a world global scheme, I would say the number of visionaries for women is definitely currently less than 50%, the way I see it, even though I'm not necessarily a futurist, but it will be over 50%. If you look what's happened with healthcare and doctors, it's over 50%. And then college attendance, it's, more, I mean, the population is more women than men. I
Yeah.
think if you just look at, so that's logical, I guess,
I
but
think anytime you have a marginalized portion of society and they become more, they start to integrate and become more of the population and have more opportunities, you'll have this transition period like we're living through. It's like, hey, women used to be property not too long ago in the grand scheme of things. And now
women are
they're,
still property in
yeah.
many countries.
And that's now not the norm, thankfully, but generally speaking, like you said, women have more opportunity and
Oh,
therefore
I'll give
they're
you, so
permeating more parts of society than ever.
right. So technically, well, my wife is Jewish. Technically, I am as well, but I'm like all religion, all faith. So when you get married in a Jewish ceremony, there's a thing called the ketubah, which is in Hebrew. And apparently, I bought my wife, according to the ketubah, I think I gave her dad like some sheep and like a cow for her. So that's what it says. So I don't know. I think that's a pretty good
Is it kind of like
trade.
a dowry or what say what
I
does it
don't even,
signify?
yeah, I mean, I didn't like, it was hilarious. I'm like, hey, I gave you, I never gave him the sheep, but that's what
It's
the
a coupon
food
for one free sheet.
but like it's really and then most of the time the woman takes the man's name, you know what I mean? But it's interesting that usually, certainly in Judaism, the children are the religion of the mom, no matter what the dad is.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like the heart and faith from the mom, and then you get the name and property from the. It's really fascinating, actually.
Yeah, no, Jewish culture is incredible. And it's been around forever. I mean, long, long time.
Well,
My
all
last,
religions are fascinating to me.
yeah,
And faith is really fascinating. Religion mostly is for the collective, like to keep people in line and like, robotic and stuff. But I look at faith and higher power as the
and do you
essential
believe
part of religion.
that religion and culture bring people closer together or tear them apart generally?
Oh, religion brings tears apart.
Yeah,
Faith, higher power brings visionaries closer together for
I like
sure.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
Good
okay.
question.
Yeah, I found that to be my experience as well. Like my last major relationship before Jasmine, actually before my wife was shout out to her, Jessica. Her family was really, not super Orthodox Jewish, but like deep
Hmm.
Jewish roots. And,
Yeah.
we thought we were going to get married and all that. And it was a big point of contention because I grew up Catholic and I was that guy. I was that goy kid, it was like I was never
Boy.
going to fit in. I was never going to belong. So I feel that
Hmm.
even though I feel like I was always part or around the Jewish faith growing up in New York and working real estate and living in New York and
Makes sense.
okay, so moving on. I'll make one more comment again, N of one, and there's probably social justice warriors listening to this podcast. Like,
Oh, who
fuck these
cares?
guys.
That's
But the one thing I did want to mention is like I actually hired Savannah Brewer, who's a really wonderful young lady, and I met her when she
yeah.
was like 16, and she's done really well. Become, she was the CRO or CFO or whatever it is of a $30 million company after she left me. But I gave her a mandate. I'm like, I want to have this podcast and I want it to be at least half women. Like find as many women
Yes.
entrepreneurs to interview as you want.
Oh, I
You
can
know, and
introduce you to a lot of them.
And I told her, I was like, hey, go. And this is maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago, right? 7, 8 years ago. I told her, like, find as many women as you can. And even both of us working together to even it out, I think we had about 1 in 5. So it's getting better, but it was still a big challenge at that time.
That's much better than most.
Yeah, so that's something that I think is really important, and Jasmine shares that. So moving on from those hot button topics, and let's not touch the third rail on the way out. But the the next thing I wanted to ask you, Justin, is in your opinion, how do visionaries best increase their ability to communicate, to
Connect other visionaries who understand them.
but how do they build structures which magnify their efforts? If you have examples, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But
Thank you.
what's the best way for, like, okay, I'm a visionary. What's step one? What's step two? What's step
Okay.
three?
Strategy brain. Scale brain. Okay.
Well, I'm
So
hoping there's somebody out there who's a visionary who's like, hey, this is really valuable. So give them
yes,
some
I know.
steps
I
or
know.
something.
So, okay. If the entire world was like us, that would be very bad. It would be complete chaos. Although you have really good follow through. I do decent, but you have really good. Most visionaries don't. So I will simplify it like this. Every weakness that I have or that a visionary has, which are many, I have endless weaknesses. Like there's a laundry list. Every quote unquote weakness is an opportunity to find a collaborative strength. So I see number in a world in numbers and keywords. Okay. I know most people don't, but I do. So I'm dead last in empathy on strength finders. Surprise, surprise. Second to last in includer. Surprise, surprise. For visionaries, I have endless empathy inclusion, endless understanding, endless inclusion. People making excuses, I don't understand that. It's really confusing to me. My partner for second company, he's competition 1, maximizer 2, empathy 3. Empathy. He's an empath who does 8 and 9-figure deals all day. Okay. My weakness, find a collaborative strength. I am 30th out of 34 in harmony. My wife, Dr. Sarah, she is 1 in harmony. 1. She is harmony 1, relator 2, achiever 3. I am activator, maximizer, achiever. So we're both the achiever 3, high achievers. She just does it with harmony, which I basically have none of. None. Within community, great. But not not in thinking about all this other stuff that gets in the way of the center at the middle. And from an Enneagram print perspective, Enneagram, I'm an 8-3. So 8 is strong and self-reliant. 3 is to succeed and achieve. My partner is a 3-8, succeed and achieve, strong and self-reliant. So unconsciously, we're collaborative. We're collaborative. We both. And then my wife, she's a 2-6. 2 is needed and appreciated. 6 is feel safe and secure. So she is also in a different way collaborative unconsciously. My weakness of being needed and appreciated, I don't care about that. Feeling safe and secure, you can put me on a third rail. I'm fine with it. Put me on a third rail. Visionaries have the courage to go on a third rail. Way out, way in, we'll go on the third rail. But my wife is collaborative for that, feels safe and secure. So at home, she makes me feel safe and secure. Within the company, she makes me feel safe and secure because I know I can depend on her 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. And I think that's the opportunity, is to look at the weaknesses. You hone in on that center. Everything else that's not in that center is an opportunity to find a collaborative strength.
And both with your family and with your business.
It's all collaborative. The book Epic Life, How to Build Collaborative Global Companies While Putting Your Loved Ones First. I talk to one to two people like us every single week that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from having a family. It's collaborative, not separate, collaborative.
Yeah, no, I love that. Tell us about how you met Sarah. Like, what's your dating story?
Yeah. So she and I met online 20 years ago. I started talking to her on a trip back from seeing my grandmother the last time right before she died. So I'm thoroughly convinced my grandmother, my mom's mom, put us together in some way cosmically. And then our first in-person date was the day before Sarah started medical school. She's a pediatrician. So that was August 28th, 2004 was our first date. I told Sarah I loved her because I'm an activator. I told her September 5th, 2004 that I loved her. I waited 1 week, 1 full week to do it.
Did she reciprocate? What happened?
She did not reciprocate at that that time.
That
It
juncture.
took like two. She's a lower quick start. Harmony one.
It's like, oh, that's nice.
She stared at me, and but she knew I was serious. And then I think a couple weeks later, she
Oh,
told me
that's beautiful. Well, hey, you shortcutted the process somewhat. Sometimes it takes a couple
activator.
years.
I'm an activator, so get it done.
And then when did you guys decide to get married, have kids, all that?
Your engineering brain is humanized. It's fascinating.
Well, I want people to be able to relate to you somehow. You know, if we got this far in the interview,
the visionary
hopefully
would
they can come away
definitely get
with some shred of humanity.
the non-visionary would have hung up by now. That's what. No, it's the same thing with the arrows. It's the same thing. So March 30th, 2007, I proposed to her, and then we were married May 4th, 2008.
You have like a fun story how you proposed? Was there anything special about it?
Literally, there's only been one time. I hate surprises, like hate them. I just want to give me the answer. There's only one time I've ever surprised her, and that was the proposal. Got her pretty nice ring, and I had it in my pocket for like, we went to this restaurant called Japanese, which I don't think exists anymore in Chicago, but we went there and then we drove to Michigan, where her family had a sailboat. So that was where I told her I loved her the first time, and then I just drove her, and she's like, "Where are we going?" I'm like, I'm not telling you." So then we drove to the hotel, and then I proposed to her in the hotel room.
So she was surprised she didn't see it coming. She wasn't expecting it.
That's the first and only time I've ever surprised her.
Wow. So if she was to describe you, what do you think she would say?
Neurodivergent.
That's just like the headline. Like, hey, he's a little on the spectrum. That's just what it is.
And she said I'm getting more neurodivergent every day.
Do we have some stats? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you've looked into this, but like, what does neurodivergence mean? How is that
For
affecting our
me,
society? How is it? How is it like? How did it come to be? Was it always here? Is it becoming more
I don't
prevalent?
know. I mean, well, so that aspect, I'm not sure. What I will say is there are only four types of visionaries. All I do is talk to people like us. So one is ADD. That's most of the people I talk to. Two minor Asperger's. I don't even know if that's what it's called anymore. Um, three is dyslexia, and four is um, astronomically high IQ and or EQ, like a regular
And a
human.
lot of them have some of those traits, all of those traits.
I've met one person that has all four.
I'd be interested to meet that person. That must be a mess.
He's a 10 quick start, which is the highest in Colby. There are four things that separate visionaries from humans: bankruptcy, trauma, anxiety, depression. He's all four of those. He's created some type of events for suicide awareness, which is not a surprise at all because he's had multiple attempts like that. So,
Oh, geez.
yeah, well, that's what it is. I mean, he's just the extreme case of all extreme cases.
Who do you look up to in the world?
My children.
What are the qualities that you admire in them?
Every quality. I've learned far more from them than they have from me. Yeah.
Tell us about Colby. Give us the rundown.
You go
I
from
know you love it.
children to Colby. Our sons are both 9 quick start, 2 follow through maniacs. That's a compliment. They're both unemployable. I see the world in numbers. That's the best way of seeing to me what a visionary or who a visionary is through a number. But Colby.com, Kolbe, a index takes 20 minutes, $55 US. I always know when someone's not a visionary when they ask what it costs and if there's a free version. That's always funny. I don't understand that, but people do ask that. And then most visionaries are high quick start, little to no follow through. They're all over the place without humans, disaster. You and I are both high quick start and high follow through, which is really rare. And then most integrators or engineers or finance or law, they're lower quick start, higher follow through.
Makes sense. And does that change over time, in your opinion?
Great question. Well, it's not okay. So opinion's great. I prefer facts. Colby changes 12% of the time. Again, I only talk to visionaries, so where I see it change is let's say someone's a 5 quick start, it tends the highest. So they're 5, and then I'll talk to them and they're just rambling and they're pure ADD. I go, you're not a 5 quick start. Retake it. And then they retake it. I'm like, you're probably an 8 or 9 quick start. And they're like, oh, I retook it. I'm an 8 or 9 quick start. How'd you know that? I go, well, you were just surrounded by limiters, and then you thought you had to be one, but you're really not a limiter. You're just byproduct of being surrounded by wrong people, even though you're a visionary. So that's where I see it change. I don't really think about if it changes the other. Oh, I've seen it one time change, one time change where it was an 8 quick start and it went down to a 4. And then the guy had been like a 4 fact finder. It went up to a 7. You want to guess why that happened?
Why is that?
He had his first child.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can change a person.
I would think so.
If you
Yes.
could put, I'll borrow a Tim Ferriss question. If you could put a bumper sticker out to the whole world to see, what would it say? Or a billboard?
I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur who happens to be a dad.
I love that. So that's your mission, really, is just to make sure that people express their visionariness without destroying their life in the process and making sure their family's first.
Higher power first, then yourself, then family. Because if you can't put higher power first, if you put yourself first, that's narcissism. But if you don't put yourself first, you can't help you. You can't truly help your family. And then you can't be a great leader. So
That makes
higher
sense.
power. Yeah.
Absolutely. What's your take on divinity in the sense of, do we, obviously you believe in God. Do we have free will in the sense of we get to choose what we create, or is it some mix of like, hey, God gives us the ideas and we can run with them or not, or is it all come through divine, or like, what's your take on that?
So we were just on Necker Island with Richard Branson. I asked him a question similar to that, because like this guy should have been killed millions of times. Like he just should be dead, but he's not. He's like, I've always had a North Star watching me. Um, I think what I like, I just think you're either born like this or you're not. If you are born like this and acknowledge the higher power and know that it, to giving God or whatever you want to call it, that power and that grace, then that allows you to serve your full purpose. And like, however robotic I sound, there's a deep appreciation of a higher power. And I've always just considered myself a lesson bridge between parents, their parents, their parents, and then my children, their children, their children. It's been, as you asked earlier, it's been evolved since then. But
Yeah. Well, hopefully we never stop evolving, as long as it's for the better.
well, you asked, can you get better? So I was answering your question.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I share that sentiment, is like, the more I ask God for help to get better, the more I get better, which, hey, it seems like a pretty productive cycle. So let's keep it up. Justin, how can people get in hold of you, especially if they're interested in speaking to you about, hey, I'm a visionary, help, or hey, I want to join BrEpic, or hey, I want to check out your book? How do they do that?
They can go to BrEpicNetwork.org, and it's invite only, but you can apply to join there. BrEpicNetwork.org. Thank you very much.
BrEpic network.org. Go check it out. Any final thoughts, or?
Well, one, this is a tremendous interview. You have a great brain, and I can't wait to see where your heart goes. It's going to be really interesting.
Thank you, Justin.
You're welcome.
If you're in Phoenix or I'm in Chicago, I'll look you up.
Our in-person event is in Phoenix in May. So
I'll get out of here. What are the dates?
May 15th through the 16th.
Okay, great. May 15th, 16th.
Yeah, so
and that's all on the site too?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll take a look. All right, Justin, thank you so much for being on the podcast and for giving us a bit of your time here, and keep up the great work and changing the world with visionaries, connecting visionaries together and making it awesome for them to do their thing. All right, brother. Much love.